anxiety even worse.
I mean, every time, right? We've done this for like almost 100 episodes. This is episode 90. And every time it feels like the same nerves, the same anxiety. But we're here and we keep doing it because this is Office Hours. I'm Nora, that's Sto, and we're here to talk about practical advice for independent artists because there is no one singular music business and there are many ways to navigate the industry and ways to do it where you don't have to sell your soul or accept, well, that's just how it is. So today we're talking about like all the different platforms. Every day it feels like there's a new like every day
Did
there's
you
like
lead with fuck?
Yes, because that's honestly like that's how I feel. Where I'm like, you want me to download what? Another app? You want me to what? Invest more time in building a new community while I'm still maintaining the old one? And I got to learn how to navigate this algorithm. No, like, and I know I'm not the only one feeling that way, which is why we're doing this new episode. Why are you shocked that I would say such a thing? Have you not met me?
I'm so sorry, everyone. Yo, welcome to Office Hours. She led with fuck. So, yo, thank you all for tuning in. I was gonna make a comment about how they recorded like 20 seconds before we went live, but here we are. Yeah, here we are. That means I have the green light. Fuck, like all these platforms, it's too much. So that's what we're here to talk about. There's, I'm trying to be professional.
Professionalism is a social construct. So what's on your minds?
Okay. Episode 90. Yes. Hours. We're talking about navigating all these new apps that are out here, especially over the last 6 to 8 months. We all have seen some of the quote pillars of social media kind of pivot to all types of wild shit that wait. Some of us saw coming. Some of us didn't.
Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off because I think the language around this is really important.
Yep.
We're not seeing them like
I knew this was coming.
Right? We're seeing people who own these platforms. So this is important. As much as we feel like these are community platforms, many of these platforms are owned by uber wealthy, shitty people. So one, they're, as much as we think they're for us, they're not. They're designed for people to make money. And then what's happened?
Never were for us, by the way.
Right. And never, right. These are not like common public utilities, although there's an argument that they should be. It's not like the gas company or the electric company that serve all of us. And then what we're seeing is the people behind these platforms making very strategic decisions that are allowing the culture on those platforms to change, that they're allowing a degree of violence, or that they're allowing a degree of hate speech, or that they're pushing and changing the algorithm in ways that no longer make the community a good place. And that's their on-app behavior. Then we look at their off-app behavior, and their power to do their off-app behavior comes from the fact that they got rich off of us being on those apps. So I think it's not just like these things don't randomly happen. We as consumers and as users, where we put our attention on social media and these different platforms helps give people power, and it can take that power away. And so what we saw, for example, and like the greatest example is Elon Musk is a Nazi. He took over Twitter and ran it to shit, and people started to leave Twitter. And that's where Blue Sky came in to fill the gap that Twitter left behind. Now we can have a whole conversation about why people continue to stay on Twitter, which I don't understand. And I think that's part of the conversation for us to have, is around like, people will be like, oh, but I have so many followers here, or, oh, I've put so much effort here. And so they want to stay. And that's where we have to look at like, what's our power as users and as consumers versus where can we say, you know what, I can build this following elsewhere, or I have another connection to these followers, newsletter, website, owning your own data, where then you can say, you know what, I'm not going to support Elon, even if I have like 30 million followers on this platform, for example. And Meta is the same, and all these other ways. So I think y'all know sometimes I got to go on these political rants, but as creatives and as entrepreneurs, our politics really matter, and is where we have power in these spaces. And I think this conversation is particularly important because where you put your time, your attention, your energy, your clicks, it's in this moment especially is really important.
Yeah, I want to double down on the, these platforms were never for us. And you can we're 90 episodes in, and you can look back to numerous episodes where we've been saying this for years. Oh God. And so, again, there's been multiple mass exoduses across platforms and stuff like that. And that's why it's important to understand the alternatives while simultaneously not feeling like you have to be everywhere at once. And that's kind of where I want to start off. Like, before we even talk about any of these platforms, like, you don't have to be everywhere. And Nora, I'm sure you've dealt with this as well. Like, I talk to so many artists, creatives, authors, graphic designers, photographers, directors, etc., that feel like they have to be everywhere, but don't feel like they fit in everywhere. And what I'll say immediately on that is, like, get in where you fit in. If a certain app doesn't fit on a grand scale, I don't care if it's morals, algorithm, I don't know, the way they feed you certain stuff in your For You tab or whatever, regardless of the application. Like, if you don't feel like you fit into a certain place, I've never been one to be like, well, you should just be there anyway. Like, nah. Now, what Nora has always said from jump is experiment. Test out these platforms and see if you actually like being on there. All these, again, with these platforms not necessarily being in service to us, a lot of it is understanding that, like, if you don't like being somewhere, don't be there. It doesn't forcing yourself because you think, like, I feel like this has come up a lot with, like, TikTok. Like, I have to be on TikTok. I feel like everybody's blowing up on TikTok. If that's not your type of content or what you like to make or whatever, forcing yourself to do that leads to burnout. And we have episodes on that as well. And so, we're never going to be like, you need to be on every single app that comes out. Now, again, when you experiment and you test it out, like, we're never going to be like jump in, jump out, of course, but, like, of course, experiment and see what works. It's about what works for you. I can't, none of us can be here and tell you need to be on TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, you'll never succeed as an artist. That's wild to say to any creative. And so, test out the platforms, give it a chance. If it doesn't work, there's nothing wrong with bailing out.
Well, and I think there's something in the way that, like, I think about how Clubhouse rolled out. I think about how Blue Sky rolled out. They create the sense of, like, exclusivity. Did you get an invitation? And so it creates pressure on people to, like, I'm not cool enough if I don't have an invite. I mean, I remember in the Clubhouse days, people were spending like $5,000 for a fucking Clubhouse invite. And, like, where is Clubhouse now? And so there's this, like, external.
Did you say $5 racks?
Yeah, that shit was on eBay. People were, like, eBaying their Clubhouse invites during, like, COVID era. COVID is still happening during quarantine era. But so, like, I think it's important to understand that these platforms exist to get users, to build this hype. But that doesn't mean that you have to get carried along with the wave. So you don't have to be, you can wait to see how a platform pans out. You don't have to be the first on a platform. You can take your time. Like Sto said, you can get on there and you can leave, but you can also just not participate. And it's much more effective to pick 2 or 3 platforms that you feel good about and comfortable in, and that's fun for you, and just take your time building and cultivating there, because regardless of whatever platform you're on, you're going to have to take time to build community. There's no shortcut, there's no fast forward. And so give yourself permission to go where feels right and good for you, and then invest in that rather than trying to be everywhere, everything all the time, because then you're going to be chasing trends, and chasing trends is never going to be a strategy. Your job as a creative is to create something and then make it easy for people to come to you. And that's the part, right? Like, social media needs to be used as a way to bring people to you rather than you running after people. It's like chasing them with your CD, being like, listen to this, listen to this. And they're like, bro, what the fuck? So, sorry, now I have this picture of like someone like running down the street, running away from a backpacker. Leave me alone. I don't want to listen to your song. But that's, like, and I think that's the part though, is like, there's a little bit of allowing, maybe it's like FOMO that people are feeling. Like, it's okay to feel FOMO and just not be on the app. I know people where they're like, oh shit, my phone doesn't have capacity to download another app, so let me go spend thousands of dollars to upgrade my phone so I could have more. What? Like, that thousands of dollars could have gone towards so many other things that would have actually moved your career forward, rather than like creating space for you to download the newest app on your phone. So it's like, I want y'all to understand, like, it's designed to get you to feel like, dang, I need to be on this app because this app is going to save me. No app is going to save you. And wherever you end up, you still have to do all the work that we've been talking about around sharing your stories, doing the behind the scene, connecting with other people, building relationships, being consistent. And so quality over quantity is where it's going to be at.
Right. We've said this a million times over the course of office hours. Social media is a resource. It is not the end all be all. And the way some artists move, like, and Nora nailed it. The whole idea, like, oh my gosh. All right, we're getting into it. There's a lot of manipulation going on here, people. Like, even with some of these alternative platforms, like Nora said it, like, they try to get you on the FOMO train, so you feel like you're missing out on an app. And it's just like, I think about this all the time, especially now. Like, when Blue Sky and Threads both came out, there was this huge just uproar, hype train, like, you need to be on here, and it's the alternative, and da. And that hype, eventually kind of plateaus. And then you're back to thinking, well, how come, people aren't listening to me? How come I'm not getting X amount of views, likes, retweets, et cetera, reposts, et cetera? You know what I mean? And so, these companies, and again, oh man, when you hop to another app and stuff like that, it's not about, oh, we're helping these independent creatives get in front of their people. It's more like, oh, when we have this investment meeting in Q1 and we get to go into this meeting with a bunch of investors that us as consumers know nothing about, they can say, we have X amount of users, so give us more money. They're never entering these conversations saying, what can we do? And it's not even just in the music space or even the independent creative space. There's so many levels to this that we can't get into on office hours. But like, these investors and stuff like that, it's not about us. It's about filling their pockets, bringing in more investors and stuff like that. So putting your entire, rollout, and in some cases, like more than that, career in some cases, into a social media platform, regardless. I don't care if it's Blue Sky. I don't care if something pops up tomorrow that's, oh, we're independent and we just, there's a bigger, a goal there for them. It's never about propping us up as creatives. So remember that when you feel like you're missing out. Remember that when, you post something like, I'm not going viral. they don't want you to go viral. That's not the point. They want people to be cycling through the platform to make sure that they're getting impressions and that they're able to get the numbers up and stuff like that for their goals. It's not about us.
I saw a commercial today for TikTok ads, because TikTok actually lets everybody go viral. Like, it's really easy to go, because that's their strategy. You go viral,
Right.
you feel so good, and you want to keep going back, trying to chase. And the ad was, the commercial was for TikTok ads. And essentially it was like, your posts that do really well, you should buy ads and then you'll be successful. If that was really the case, they wouldn't need to be doing commercials, because all the artists and creatives and entrepreneurs and small businesses would be like, well, here's the shortcut to success.
Exactly.
But that's not actually the case, right? And like, ads are not a shortcut to building community, are not a shortcut to creating easy pathways for your people to support you. And so this episode is not about don't get on the platform. It's not even about don't buy ads. Like, if you've done your pre-work, ads could be strategic and helpful. But it's about picking the platform that makes sense for you and allowing yourself to be consistent on that platform, and giving yourself permission to divest from that platform when it no longer fits your needs. Right. And I think that's where, like, I'm on a bunch of organizing stuff, and we've been using WhatsApp for so long because it's like global and it's easy and it doesn't matter what kind of iOS people are using. Like, it, right. WhatsApp works for everybody. But WhatsApp is owned by Meta, which is one of those problematic companies with those problematic billionaire leaders that we talked about. And so I don't have to stop using WhatsApp completely, or, get off Meta completely, but I can say I'm going to stay on Instagram, but I'm not going to use WhatsApp anymore, and move my WhatsApp conversations to Signal, for example. If I lead that example, people will follow. And so as an artist, I think so many artists feel stuck on a platform because they've just been there for so long. But you can model what changing or moving looks like. And it gives you a lot of good data around who are your fans and your real followers who will follow you. Because if you have 100 people who are followers, but they're not going to move when you ask them to move, they're not going to engage when you ask them to engage, they're not going to interact when you ask them to interact, those are just numbers, and those numbers don't mean anything. So actually, like, looking at how you move around from different platforms, who goes with you, who's consistent with you, it gives you a lot of data as an artist. And so again, you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be smart about where you're at, and who's there with you and not there with you is also really useful information. And real quick, since we're talking about like rich billionaires, Sto and I are not rich billionaires. No one is backing our work at Office Hours. And so if you would like to support what we do, we so gladly accept tips and donations. Even a couple dollars helps us continue to do what we do and make this kind of information accessible to you all. So drop a Venmo or a Cash App to me, put Office Hours in the line, and it gets shared between the two of us. But this is another opportunity when we talk about like your attention, your money, your energy, where you put it the same way. Giving us a like takes us a lot further than it might take someone who already has all that attention, or sharing this video versus sharing your like most mainstream person's video. So it's a little bit of like us actually practicing what we're teaching. But I thought that was a nice little alley-oop if you want to support our work. We love and appreciate it. And while you're here, hit the like and hit the subscribe. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Right, exactly. And so, we've talked about a lot about why you shouldn't feel pressure to be everywhere. But let's talk about some of the alternatives that you do have. And so between Blue Sky, Threads, as much as I personally don't enjoy TikTok, like that's still a viable option as well. Now be careful, y'all. Huh?
Are you on TikTok?
I am. Like barely, but I'm there. those are all viable. Now with TikTok, again, be careful because ownership is being juggled like a circus out here, and you never know like what that ownership is going to do moving forward. But it's still an alternative. And so YouTube, our next episode here in 2 weeks is about YouTube. Y'all don't be using that enough. And so you don't have to be on these platforms that are constantly chasing your attention, because the reality is these companies need you. That's the reality of it. Without you, they can't move. And so, actually taking time to, again, look at the alternatives and stuff like that, I think can, one, give you a chance to build a new audience, but two, help you get out of whatever, because again, I don't care whether it's the algorithm, whether it's the Moors, whether certain positions on stuff, like all of these platforms are kind of fucking up right now. And so going where you feel comfortable, going where you have a chance to meet new fans and supporters, and for me, like sometimes building on a new platform, it's kind of exciting because you never know who you're running into. Like, it's very easy to be like, oh my gosh, I hope all my followers from this platform come over to this platform. But for me, it's like you're running into new people, like you're actually building up. And so a lot of these alternatives, I think, are definitely worth at least giving a shot and putting more energy into.
So what's like a platform or two that you think is worth investing, or for you has been worth investing time and energy in?
Threads and YouTube, honestly. I as much as like I hate Facebook, I don't really give a crap about Instagram, but Threads like has been really nice, and it's been nice to see peers and stuff over there. And I posted about this the other day. It's like I post one thing on one platform, it doesn't do well. Very easy to get discouraged. Post that same thing on another platform on Thread. Like I've done that. Like I post on one platform, it doesn't work out. Post it on Threads, sometimes it be going viral, even if it's not music stuff. And so, again, I can obviously like point to negatives and stuff like that, but I've really been enjoying Threads lately. And as much as I hate the owner of Reddit, of course, I think Reddit's kind of a decent place as well, depending on where you're at.
I appreciate the reminder that like people can and should be recycling content. So like whether you're sharing the same information across different platforms, or take something you shared 6 months ago and share it again. And if you need proof that it's not you and it's the algorithm, you can share the exact same content on the exact same platform, looking at the exact same day and time, and get two completely different results. So like I say this because like all the research shows how bad social media is for us, and we're all just trying to navigate it. But if you know that it's really not you, it's not that your content isn't good enough or that people don't like you or like whatever, it's really just the algorithm is designed to mess with your head so you feel bad about yourself, so you buy more ads and you stay on the app so they can sell more advertising. Like it's y'all, this is capitalism like fucking with us. And so that reminder of like recycling content and repurposing content is really helpful as one thing to just make it a little less stressful for you. I haven't gotten on Threads. I was like, that was one of those things where I was like, I don't need another app. I don't need don't need it. But I've exploring Blue Sky has been really fun in terms of like meeting new people. Like exactly what you just said is like, it's kind of like starting fresh and meeting new people and like building new relationships. And it feels a little bit, I really miss the days of internet where it was just like, people were just talking about things. Like it was conversations rather than hot takes. And I think Blue Sky right now feels like that a little bit because people are craving that. And I love Discord, and I love the space that Discord offers, which we have an episode on. I can't remember which one. Not too long ago, we did an episode about Discord, but I love Discord for the way that it allows community building. So all you really have to do is facilitate and hold space, but then your fans can show up and connect with one another, and now they're invested in each other. And I started one for my neighborhood, and like my neighborhood is all on Discord now, and like getting, people are connecting and talking to each other, and it's really exciting. So I have a really soft spot for Discord. If you could get rid of one platform, what would it be that you feel like you have to use, but you don't actually want to use anymore?
It's a toss-up between Twitter and Facebook.
Can't believe you're still on Twitter.
Gotta. Not gonna get into survival stuff right now, but yeah, going back to what Nora said about the newness, the freshness of meeting new people on platforms and stuff like that. You don't have to give in to the social media machine, because it was never for us. And so, giving yourself the chance to try to experiment and try something new and stuff like that, I think gives you a chance again to reach more people, reach more fans. Discord, I got to get better with Discord. My phone's been actually kind of fucking up lately, but Discord is such a great way to just directly build community. It's right there. All these other algorithms on these other platforms, it's all based on, and that's okay. Sorry, I was just blabbering until I figured out what the hell I was going to say. Where your value as a person should not be based on social media stuff. And some of y'all be moving like that, where I have to go viral. I have to this, I have to that. And like Nora just said, with TikTok, they give you a taste of that virality so that you feel like, oh, I have to be posting every single day. I'm never getting off of this app because I have to go viral today. That's what they want you to feel. Because you go viral and then you don't go viral and you're like, oh, I'm not posting enough. That's how they pull you in. And so, again, all of these platforms are just a resource. You use it as a resource to get people to where you want them to be. It doesn't even have to be a website. Like, I get it. Where the if you looked outside, it's crazy out here. We can't be affording websites, but a newsletter is free. You can talk to these people for free and build a community, an audience for free. And so, places like Discord, there's no algorithm involved. If you're subscribed to a community and that community sends a message, you will get the notification. It's that simple. And you're watching a lot of these platforms try to copy that. Instagram's doing it with the whole group stuff. Like, hey, if you want to slide in that IG group, hey, we got that marketing tips over there, okay? But that allows you to have a hands-on, direct communication with your audience versus all these other platforms, which are very passive engagement and stuff like that. And so, give these places a chance, but don't allow yourself to feel like, if I'm not on this platform, I'm going to fail. That's how some of y'all be moving. Like, I will fail if I'm not on TikTok. That's not true. I will fail if I'm not on insert platform here. That is not true. Get in where you fit in. Get comfortable. Like use platforms that you're comfortable with using. You don't have to force it like that, because it leads to burnout. You're not going to be happy, and then you're going to be feeling like, damn, what am I doing all this for?
Friendly reminder that even if you do go viral, that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. And we have a whole episode on that.
We've both gone viral.
Yeah, like going viral is not the beginning or the end of anything unless you know how to leverage it. So like, go back and watch that episode if you're curious about going viral. And just remember that social media, at the end of the day, whatever platform you're on, it's about being social. If all you do is passively consume other people or just talk at other people, that's not connecting. But if you're interacting, you're connecting, you're speaking, you're engaging, you're showing up, that's what it is. Jarvix says, I'm in over 10 Discord servers of local community platforms and movements, and I have a hard time keeping up. I also have a Discord server, but it's dead. I don't know how to manage and maintain spaces very well. And we could do a whole episode on this, actually. I would say, like, when you're running your own server, having things that keep people coming back. Like, so on both my servers that I run, we do like a question of the day. I share memes. Like, you have to do a little bit of community, not community building, of activity creation to get people there in the beginning. So things that for you might be low, like easy, like question of the day is easy. A meme a day is easy. Doing, like, I do weekly announcements of like, here's what's happening, so that people tag everybody, so that people get like a weekly reminder that we exist. Ask for help, get people from the community to moderate. What we did at Culture Fix was this year, especially, I really leaned into asking my community to moderate and asking my community to help, like, take over or co-lead other programs. And it's honestly, it's like doubled or tripled what we're able to offer and how people are showing up for each other, because I'm not having to do everything. I just have to hold the space. And Cindy is doing journaling, and Jen is leading a writing workshop, and Candace is helping with listening parties. And so the community can show up, and then they take ownership. In terms of being part of other Discords, honestly, like, check in when you can, but don't feel like you have to read every single comment or keep up with every single thing, because that gets really overwhelming. And that's where you have to give yourself permission. Like, if you miss it, you miss it. Like, that's okay. You don't have to be everywhere all at once. But community building takes time. And so you're going to start, and maybe you only have 5 people and 4 of them are lurkers, and then 12 people and 8 of them are lurkers, and then 25 people and small part of them are lurkers, but now you've got 2 people who are really active. And it's just going to grow slowly and slowly. As long as you're consistent, and as long as you continue to give them a place where they feel seen and supported and acknowledged, they're going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep coming back, because people want that sense of community. This is why we keep going to social media. It's not because we want to go viral and we want to get famous. It's because we want to be in community and we want to connect with people. And once people find that place on the internet, I think this is why for so many of us, leaving Twitter was hard, because for a long time, Twitter was a beautiful place of connection. And I mean, that's how Sto and I met. Sto and I met on Twitter, and like, we're looking for that connection. And if you can just continue to acknowledge people as they show up in your spaces, I think that would help a lot. Thank you, Jarvix, for sharing that with us.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off that, like, the amount of notifications from Discord that I was getting before, that's why I kind of backed up a bit, because I was like, damn, I'm getting overwhelmed. But that's why it's like, you don't have to be everywhere at once. I will literally use Discord as an example. Like, my plan is, I mean, me and Nora had a meeting about this a couple weeks ago. Like, I've unsubscribed from a couple communities to kind of bring down the notifications. I cannot be everywhere at once. And so, I can only imagine, honestly, how much notifications and information is coming in if you're on 10 different Discord servers with local platforms and movements. That's a lot coming in at once. And so, again, some of it is like managing, how much is coming in. And so, because it can be stressful when all 10 plus, that's one app. And so, that grace, like, you don't have to be everywhere at once. You don't have to comment on everything. Like, things are always going to come back around, and you'll be notified for sure.
I don't have notifications on for anything. And then I get to choose when I'm ready to go on a platform, and then I engage because I'm present and I choose to. And what that does is my attention, like, we don't recognize every time you get a notification, even if you choose to ignore the notification, that's a decision that you have to make. That's attention being taken away from you. And so turning off your notifications, like, really does make an impact in, like, it's just many less decisions, that many less distractions, So don't be afraid to set those boundaries and limits for yourself so that when you do choose to show up on Discord or Instagram or Threads or Reddit or wherever it might be, you're doing it consciously and intentionally rather than because a million flashing lights are coming at you and you're like overwhelmed, because it's overwhelming. And this way you can show up ready with the energy to connect rather than just passively scrolling.
Real quick, I just want to slide in one more point. My bad. Literally, the whole point of notifications in social media. This is my sociology like activating here. Like, the point is to split your attention. You're focusing on one thing, whatever it is you're doing. I don't care. I don't even care if it's relaxing. You're literally trying to relax, and they send a notification to divert your attention from what you were actually focusing on to now focus on whatever just happened. And like Nora just said, it doesn't matter if you even reject the notification and go back to what you're doing. They have accomplished their mission of splitting your attention from what you were actually focusing on. And so that's why it's just like, I'm trying to get like Nora. I've muted a bunch of notifications and stuff like that. I'm getting there. We're almost there. But it's helpful because it allows us to be in the damn moment. So many of and like Nora said, we don't hop on these apps to go viral or whatever. We're trying to find the community that we don't have. And so, again, whether you're hopping on a bunch of platforms or you're not hopping on as many platforms, regardless, give yourself grace when it comes to all this crap, because it's a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that's you're probably getting. Yeah.
Okay. I love you guys. I love that y'all are here and you're interacting and you're asking us questions, because this is really what Office Hours is about. Sandroid is asking, what if you're not great at connecting with people? I think connection and like relationship building is a skill that social media has interrupted for many of us. We have forgotten how to, like, it comes actually for many children, it comes very naturally. You ever go to the park and kids are like, hey, we're friends now. And then they're playing and they're interacting. What social media has done to us is it's actually interrupted our ability to talk to each other. And we walk around with our earbuds in and we're looking at our phone and we're not even acknowledging faces to the people around us. So it's a skill that we've lost, which also means it's a skill that we can learn. And it really depends on like what connecting means for you. So in a social space, right, in a social media space, respond to people's stories. Tell them if it's resonating with you. Respond to their, right, like rather than passively consuming, actively engage. Go look at who are the people that you actually know and actively seek. Oh, I wonder how Sto is doing. Oh, I wonder how Sandroid is doing. Seek out who you want to be in contact with rather than allowing the algorithm to tell you who's important in your life. Because if you leave it to the algorithm is going to show you a bunch of companies and corporations and people who have bought ads, and you will forget your friend who just got a puppy, but no one's going to show that shit to you. So there's something about you, like the more you take control and the more you become an active participant, that will help bring back that connecting piece. And then you start to talk. And some of this, honestly, y'all, that it's going to feel counterintuitive because so many of us in today's, especially in the US, like we're so guarded and we're so tense that we feel more comfortable just shutting down and isolating. Like this is a real thing. This is why there's a loneliness epidemic in the US. And so it's going to feel like learning how to make friends again as a kid, but it's really just about saying hi, asking people questions, putting yourself out there, and gradually those relationships will start to build. That's like the easiest thing without like having more back and forth. It's hard to get into the nitty-gritty of this, but the one thing I could say in terms of connecting with people is just start talking, start engaging, start responding to real human beings, not corporations, not influencers, not bots.
And I'll just say, give yourself some grace. We've gone through a lot over the last couple years, perhaps. And so rebuilding all of that and getting used to all of that can be difficult. And so don't beat yourself up if you're not immediately connecting with everybody around you. Give yourself that opportunity. Opportunity to go on that journey. You don't have to connect with every single person around you, but like Nora said, even just a hey, or I'm interested in what you're doing. And like Nora said, with real people, not just influencers and stuff like that. That can go a long way. But also give yourself grace to rest. Engaging with a lot of people can be exhausting in real life. And so don't pressure yourself to feel like you have to engage in even in reverse when people engage with, like, you don't have to engage with everybody, but like, allowing yourself to get out there more, but then allowing yourself to rest and whatnot after all of that incoming is, I actually think that allows for more in terms of connecting with people down the line and stuff like that. And so, listen, all of you, you're doing fantastic out here. Okay, we've talked about a lot of downer stuff, but it's like we're all doing our best out here. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say, like, look, there's no connection without vulnerability, and vulnerability is hard and it's scary. And whether that's like posting a reel or sending out a message or reaching out to someone, like, it's there's no way around it. It's scary. And so sometimes it's one of those things, like, if we're trying to break through the isolation that so many of us are feeling and break through the algorithm walls that are separating us from one another, it's one of those things where you're going to be like, I'm going to be scared shitless, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then you'll see, like, people want to connect. People want to have that. And so I echo what Sto is saying. It's like, be nice to yourself, set those boundaries, set those limits, but also give yourself permission to maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit. And y'all are here and you're participating and you're connecting. Like, this is such a small example of it, but y'all could have just watched this and not ask questions, but you're here and you're asking questions. You're here and you're leaving comments if you're watching this after the fact, or you're going to share this, or like, these are all ways of connecting, and you're going to tag us and we're going to start being in conversation and community. Like, these are ways that this can happen. This has been a way longer episode than I expected, but I'm so here for it. And I love, shout out to Jarvix and shout out to Sandroid and shout out to everyone who's been here with us throughout today's episode. Or if you're watching after the fact, Office Hours really is here for you all. And so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, DM them to me and Sto, don't tweet at us, blue sky at us, slide in the DMs, email us, sign up for our newsletters, share this, send us a donation if this has been valuable for you in any way. Y'all, like, community is the world is falling to shit, and community is the only thing that will save us. Like, lean on each other, say hi
but we're not kidding when we say that, by the way. We're genuinely not kidding. Like, some of y'all think that this is just like music. No, we cannot survive if we are not in community with each other.
No, that's all facts. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting Office Hours. Thank you for the like and the subscribe and the comments and the shares and the tips and the donations and all the things, because I don't know what this was. I'm here in my every time I started this episode telling you this, and I'm going to end this episode telling you this. I feel so anxious and nervous every time, but we every time, like, 90 episodes in and it doesn't, but we keep doing it because we're here to connect and because we care and because we all deserve a better creative industry. So drink some water, stretch, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
You stole my whole flow. What was that? Drink water. Get a website. Get a newsletter if you can't get a website. Talk nice to yourself for once. Stretch. That's how you're supposed to do that, okay? Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. YouTube. We're talking about YouTube in 2 weeks.